The Sphere cost $2.3 billion to build. It draws 28 megawatts of power at peak capacity, enough electricity to power 21,000 homes. The entire world watched when U2 opened it in September 2023 with a spectacle that broke the internet. 18 months later, the Sphere is losing money. A lot of money. If you want to understand how Vegas's most photographed building became its newest financial disaster, smash that like button and subscribe right now. What I'm about to reveal will shock you. In its first full quarter of operation, the Sphere lost $193.9 million on revenue of $167.8 million. That's right, they lost more money than they earned. And things haven't gotten better. By March 2025, Sphere Entertainment stock hit a 14-month low as executives warned that their MSG Networks division might declare bankruptcy. But here's what nobody's telling you. The Sphere's problems aren't temporary, they're structural. Built into the DNA of a venue that costs too much to operate, can't book enough artists, and uses more electricity than small cities, while Las Vegas faces a water and energy crisis. This is the story of how the most ambitious bet in Vegas history might become its most expensive failure. 1. The $2 billion vision that exploded. When James Dolan, the billionaire owner of Madison Square Garden, announced plans to build the Sphere, the budget was $1.8 billion. Final cost, $2.3 billion. That's a $500 million overrun before the first show even happened, according to multiple financial reporting sources. Why did it cost so much? Because nothing like this had ever been built before. The exterior alone contains 1.2 million programmable LED lights covering 580,000 square feet. You can see it from space, according to Sphere Entertainment's own marketing. The interior features 14,864 square meters of LED screens, the equivalent of 4 football fields wrapped around 17,600 seats. 160,000 speakers create immersive audio that can make you feel sound vibrations through haptic seats. Wind machines, temperature controls, and scent generators create 4D effects. 150 NVIDIA RTX A6000 GPUs power the displays with over 1 million cores and 7,200 gigabytes of memory, according to PC Gamer technical analysis. This is not a concert venue. This is a technological experiment masquerading as entertainment. And like most experiments, it's expensive to run. Very expensive. According to S&P Global Market Intelligence and Real Vegas Locals analysis, the Sphere consumes approximately 95,779 megawatt-hours annually. That's 7,981 megawatt-hours per month. At Nevada Energy's commercial rate, that's approximately $464,000 in electricity costs every single month. $5.5 million per year just to keep the lights on. But electricity is only one operating cost. There's also staffing, maintenance, insurance, property costs, content creation, and marketing. Industry estimates place total operating costs north of $100 million annually before paying any artists. Which brings us to the revenue problem. 2. The booking crisis. Nobody anticipated U2's residency saved the Sphere's opening. 40 shows from September 2023 through March 2024 generated massive buzz and sold-out crowds. But U2 is gone, and finding replacements has proven nearly impossible. Here's why. Most artists don't want to play the Sphere. The venue requires completely custom content. You can't just show up and perform your regular show. Everything must be created specifically for the Sphere's unique display system. According to industry insiders, that production cost runs into millions of dollars per residency. Artists must commit to multiple shows, typically 20 to 40 performances, to justify those production costs. That means weeks or months in Las Vegas when they could be touring nationally and making more money. And here's the kicker. The Sphere only holds 17,600 seats. Compare that to T-Mobile Arena's 20,000 or Allegiant Stadium's 65,000. Smaller capacity means lower ticket revenue, which means artists make less per show than traditional venues. The result, only a handful of acts have committed. After U2 came Fish with 30 shows. Dead & Company played 48 shows total. The Eagles extended their residency multiple times, but eventually left. Kenny Chesney, Backstreet Boys, and Anima completed runs in 2024 and 2025. The Wizard of Oz experience launched in August 2025 as a new Sphere film. But look at the gap between those bookings. According to Sphere Entertainment earnings reports, Q1 2025 saw an 8% revenue drop, specifically because fewer performances occurred compared to the same period in 2024 when Super Bowl advertising filled the calendar. The Sphere experience, their daily film showings of Postcard from Earth and VU2, generates the most consistent revenue. In Q4 2024, this accounted for $74.5 million out of $151.2 million total revenue, according to official earnings statements. Translation: the Sphere makes more money showing movies than hosting concerts. That's a venue problem, not a business model. 3. The financial death spiral. Let me show you exactly how bad the Sphere's finances are. These numbers come directly from Sphere Entertainment's official SEC filings and earnings calls, reported by Billboard, Music Business Worldwide, and Sportico. Q4 fiscal 2024. Operating loss of $107.9 million, half the $193.9 million loss from the previous year, but still massive. Q1 2025. Revenue fell 8% to $157.5 million. The Sphere Experience revenue dropped $26.2 million year-over-year. Q2 2025. Revenue declined 1% to $169 million. Fewer performances of Postcard from Earth hurt revenue. Full fiscal 2024. Operating loss of $341.2 million on revenue of $1,026.9 million. Wait, how do you generate over $1 billion in revenue and still lose $341 million? Because operating costs are astronomical. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. Sphere Entertainment carries $534 million in debt related to the Sphere itself, according to CFO Robert Langer's statements. And that's separate from the $804.1 million in debt their MSG Networks division owes, debt they can't refinance. In March 2025, executives warned that if MSG Networks can't restructure its debt, bankruptcy is probable, according to official company statements. The forbearance agreement with lenders has been extended multiple times, currently until March 26, 2025. If MSG Networks declares bankruptcy, what happens to the Sphere? The debt is supposedly isolated. Creditors can only claim MSG Networks' assets, not the Sphere. But the parent company would be severely weakened. Sphere Entertainment's stock price reflects this disaster. Shares hit $30.94 in March 2025, a 14-month low and down 35% in just 1 month, according to Sportico reporting. Investors are fleeing, but CEO Jim Dolan remains optimistic, claiming 2025 will be their best year yet due to cost-cutting measures and a full calendar. Yet revenue continues declining quarter over quarter despite those promises. 4. The energy crisis Vegas can't afford. Remember that 28 megawatts of peak power consumption? Let's talk about what that actually means. 1 megawatt powers approximately 750 homes in the California-Nevada area, according to Rick's Modus analysis. 28 megawatts equals 21,000 homes. The Sphere uses as much electricity as 21,000 households. Every single night. In a city facing a water crisis where Lake Mead sits at 35% capacity. In a desert where summer temperatures exceed 115 degrees and air conditioning already strains the grid. In a state that pledged net zero emissions by 2050. The environmental cost is staggering. Approximately 46,835 tons of carbon dioxide per year, equivalent to 10,000 cars according to Driving Eco environmental analysis. Sphere Entertainment negotiated a 25-year agreement with Nevada Energy, where 70% of power would come from solar sources, specifically the Sierra Solar Project being built in northern Nevada for $1.465 billion. But that solar plant won't be fully operational until April 2027. Until then, the Sphere runs primarily on the existing grid, which includes significant fossil fuel generation. And here's the controversial part. Nevada Energy customers, regular people, are paying for that $1.465 billion solar plant through their utility bills. Southern Nevada customers cover 60% of costs. Northern Nevada covers 40%. Translation: Vegas residents subsidize the sphere's energy while being told to conserve water, limit air conditioning, and rip out their lawns. The inequality is obscene. 5. The Abu Dhabi gamble. Despite losing hundreds of millions in Las Vegas, Sphere Entertainment is building a second Sphere in Abu Dhabi. Construction began in 2024, with completion targeted for 2028. Here's the twist: Abu Dhabi is financing the entire project. Sphere Entertainment isn't paying construction costs. They're licensing the technology and brand to local partners. This is Dolan's escape route. If Las Vegas continues hemorrhaging money, he can point to Abu Dhabi as proof the concept works globally. He's also announced plans for smaller 5,000-seat spheres that could be built in more markets. But industry analysts are skeptical. If the 17,600-seat Las Vegas Sphere can't turn a profit in the entertainment capital of the world, how will smaller versions survive in secondary markets? The Abu Dhabi project faces another challenge: energy and sustainability. Abu Dhabi has abundant sunshine for solar power, but building a sphere anywhere requires massive upfront energy costs and ongoing consumption that few cities can justify. Critics argue the sphere represents everything wrong with modern entertainment: excess without sustainability, spectacle without substance, technology without purpose. The venue is impressive, but impressive doesn't pay bills. 6. Can the sphere survive? So where does this leave the sphere? Optimists point to improving adjusted operating income, $32.9 million in Q4 2024 versus $51.4 million the previous year. They note that Wizard of Oz Experience surpassed 1 million tickets sold within months. They highlight corporate sponsorships from Xerox and Lenovo. Pessimists see declining revenue, mounting losses, potential MSG Networks bankruptcy, and a stock price in freefall. They see a venue that costs $2.3 billion but generates less revenue than much cheaper traditional venues. The truth? The sphere is trapped. It costs too much to operate. Artists don't want to invest in custom productions. The energy consumption is environmentally indefensible, and the parent company is drowning in debt. Unless something dramatic changes, a breakthrough in booking major residencies, a massive reduction in operating costs, or a buyer willing to absorb losses, the sphere will continue bleeding money. Jim Dolan claims he's confident, but Dolan also built MSG Networks into an $800 million debt disaster. His track record suggests optimism without financial discipline. The sphere is the most photographed building in Vegas, but photographs don't pay operating expenses, and eventually, even billionaires run out of money to lose. Drop a comment. Do you think the sphere can survive? Or is this Vegas's next bankruptcy? Hit that like button if this investigation opened your eyes, and subscribe because we expose the truth behind Vegas's biggest stories. The sphere may be spectacular, but spectacle without profit is just an expensive light show. And in Vegas, the house always wins, except when the house is losing $5.5 million a year just on electricity.